There's a moment on Mount Everest when the mountain decides if you belong there. For Junko Tabei, that moment came under a collapsing wall of snow, buried, unable to move, unable to breathe. For a few seconds, there was nothing. No sound, no air, no way out. This should have been the end of her story, but it wasn't. They would later say, she should have turned back. Most people would have, but Junko Tabei did something else. She kept climbing. Long before Everest, Junko was not the person anyone expected to be here. As a child, she was seen as fragile, not strong, not athletic, just small. She discovered climbing almost by accident, a school trip, a mountain, a feeling she couldn't explain. It wasn't power, it was freedom. But freedom came with limits. In 1970s Japan, mountains were not for women. Not seriously, not professionally, not at this level. Men climbed, men led, men were believed, women were expected to step aside. Junko didn't argue. She didn't try to be louder. She simply refused to disappear. She built her own path, a climbing group made entirely of women. No funding, no sponsors, just determination. They stitched their own gear, saved what little they had, climbed whenever they could, and still, people laughed. It's not for you. You should be raising children. It wasn't just doubt. It was the quiet belief that she didn't belong. Years passed, until finally, they got their chance. An expedition to Mount Everest. Not as favorites, not as equals, but as an exception. They climbed anyway. Higher, colder, into air so thin it feels like it's disappearing. Every step slower, every breath earned, until the mountain answered. It came without warning. An avalanche, a violent collapse of snow and ice rushing through their camp. Junko didn't run. She couldn't. One moment she was there. The next, she was gone, buried beneath layers of snow, pressed into the earth. The weight overwhelming. The silence absolute. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. And then nothing. Time passed, no one knew how long, until hands broke through the snow, digging, searching, pulling. They found her, barely conscious, barely alive, pulled from the snow, injured, shaken. She had already survived the mountain once. This is where the story ends, for almost everyone. No one would have blamed her. No one would have questioned it. Turn back, go home, survive. But Junko Tabei didn't come here to survive. She came here to continue. Days later, she began climbing again, every step slower, every movement careful. Because up there, mistakes don't feel dramatic. They feel final. The mountain doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what you've survived. It only cares if you can keep going. Near the summit, one final test. A narrow ridge of ice, barely wide enough to stand. On one side, nothing. On the other, nothing. She didn't walk across it. She lowered herself down and crawled. Slow, sideways, deliberate, careful not to look down, because looking down changes everything. And then, after everything, the doubt, the laughter, the avalanche, the silence, Junko Tabei reached the summit of Mount Everest, the first woman in history to stand there, the highest point on Earth, and for a moment, there was nothing left to prove. But she never cared about being first. She didn't climb to be remembered. She climbed because she refused to disappear. She didn't change the mountain. She didn't ask for a place on it. She took it and made it impossible to give back. Some limits aren't real until someone climbs past them, and some stories are worth remembering. Sources for further exploration: Junko Tabei, A Life in Climbing, Encyclopedia Britannica, the Japanese Women's Everest Expedition Archives and Historical Reporting on the 1975 Summit,